that has dominated American society. Well, their objective is to try to bring about a gradual transition in our society, a dissolving of sovereignty, and a moving steadily to the left on the political spectrum. Who are they? The elitist groups that I mentioned, particularly key individuals and policymakers in the Council on Population.
Monetary fund for him.
The interview you're about to watch is a perfect example of what happened.
Officer from DeKalb County, Georgia, was arrested and criminally charged for posting nude photos of a colleague on social media. The situation came to light following the release of a police report in January of 2017. The officer in question was identified as Audrey Frances Keaney, who was described as an acquaintance of the unnamed victim. Investigators said the latter was notified of the explicit images publication by concerned friends. The motive for Frances Keaney's actions was unclear, as she, as the victim, reportedly had friendly interactions as recently as a few days before the photos were posted. It's believed that the young officer hacked her colleagues' social media accounts to gain access to the pictures on her phone. After uploading the materials for the public to see, Frances Keaney sent the victim threatening messages, allegedly saying, "You're going to learn." As a consequence, she was taken into police custody on charges of invasion of privacy by computer trespassing, and explicit transmissions. Although she was placed on administrative leave at the onset of the investigation, Frances Keaney was eventually terminated from the force, after which she moved to Florida. The young woman resurfaced in national headlines in May of 2021 when she was accused of sneaking into a Hialeah high school and passing out flyers bearing her Instagram handle to students. The bizarre incident, which landed the 28-year-old back in custody, had apparently been hatched as a ploy for her to grow her social media following. Number 24. James Matt French. Early on the morning of March the 12th of 2023, Oklahoma City police observed an SUV speeding and swerving along South May Avenue. An officer caught up with the vehicle after it pulled into a private driveway on Southwest Grand Boulevard. In body cam footage from the traffic stop, the motorist, identified as James Matt French, was asked if he'd been drinking. He neglected to answer the question, instead asserting, "I'm a captain on the police department." Subsequent reports confirmed French's claim, mentioning that he worked as part of the OKCPD's Investigations Bureau. When asked again if he'd been drinking that night, the man hesitated before motioning towards his chest and asking the officer to turn off his body cam in a whispering tone of voice. The officer climbed, stating, "I'm not turning my camera off. You've got to be kidding me." French eventually stepped out of his unmarked, city-owned SUV and admitted to drinking 3 or 4 beers during a poker game that evening. The officer then asked the inebriated police captain if he thought he should be driving in his impaired state. French said, "No, but I came from 4 blocks." After failing field sobriety tests, French continued pleading with the officer to turn off his body camera again, reiterating that he was a captain with the police department. The officer rejected him time and again, eventually saying, "I'm a sergeant. I've taken an oath to uphold the law. I don't care if you're a gangbanger or the president of the United States." The captain was ultimately taken into custody and booked at the Oklahoma County Detention Center on a DUI. 55-year-old French, who'd been with the department for 32 years, was placed on administrative leave pending an internal investigation into his actions. Number 23. Christopher Lofton. In the aftermath of the horrific Robb Elementary School shooting in May of 2022, the Brazoria County Sheriff's Office in Texas dispatched a team of 8 patrol deputies and 2 dispatchers to the city of Uvalde in order to assist local agencies. One of the officers assigned to the relief effort was Deputy Christopher Lofton, a 2-year veteran of the force. On June the 2nd, a few days after arriving in Uvalde, Lofton reportedly got intoxicated to the point that he was a danger to himself and others while he was off duty at the officer's temporary living quarters. He was immediately removed from the assignment and arrested for public intoxication. Having violated multiple department policies, Lofton was promptly terminated from his position with the Brazoria County Sheriff's Office. Number 22. Emily Garcia. Shortly before 4:30 a.m. on August the 3rd of 2022, Miami police were called to the home of a South Florida cop's significant other for a report of a domestic disturbance. El Portal Police Corporal Emily Garcia and her boyfriend, who was also identified as a police officer, had returned home from a night out at a Flanagan's Seafood Bar and Grill, where they drank multiple alcoholic beverages. They'd subsequently gone to sleep, but the unnamed boyfriend later awoke to find Garcia slapping him and biting his chest. He shoved her away, causing her upper lip to bruise. After law enforcement arrived, Garcia was taken into custody on a charge of simple battery. El Portal's police chief verified in the aftermath that the incident took place while the corporal was off duty. She was consequently relieved of her police powers with pay pending an official investigation. Garcia's boyfriend told the judge that he wasn't afraid of her and didn't wish for her to be issued a stay-away order. A modified order was ultimately imposed, allowing Garcia to have contact with her partner as long as she wasn't physically threatening. The terms of the order also stipulated that she could not engage in criminal activity or possess a firearm. Number 21. Brian R. Tahira. Early on August the 24th of 2021, a pair of uniformed police officers were parked in the lot located at 501 South Pinellas Avenue in Tarpon Springs, Florida. Shortly after 1 a.m., a vehicle pulled into the parking lot and came to a halt near one of the officers. The driver, identified as 37-year-old Brian R. Tahira, was acting strangely and made what were described as unusual and erratic statements. One of the officers at the scene later reported hearing what he believed to be a semi-automatic handgun slide being manipulated. When confronted, Tahira voluntarily exited his vehicle to speak with the policeman, who subsequently confirmed that a handgun was inside the car and that a magazine had been removed. It emerged during their conversation with Tahira that he was an off-duty Clearwater police officer. A patrol supervisor was called to the scene, whereupon it was determined that the man was under the influence of alcohol. At some point, Tahira allegedly became aggressive towards the officers, but was ultimately arrested without the use of force. He was reportedly taken to the Pinellas County Jail and booked on a DUI. Number 20. Courtney Brown and Christy Wilson. Georgia woman Sarah Webb was late for her job at a nail salon when she was pulled over in the city of Roswell for allegedly speeding on April the 7th of 2018. The officers who initiated the stop, identified as Courtney Brown and Christy Wilson, were seemingly unfazed by the presence of their body cameras and proceeded to joke around about the motorist's fate. In footage of the cops' interaction, Officer Brown could be heard admitting she didn't actually have speed detection equipment before pulling out her phone and opening a coin flip app. Officer Wilson proposed that if the virtual coin landed on heads, they'd arrest Webb, despite not having any evidence that she'd broken the law. If the coin fell tails up, the officers said they'd let her go. The coin subsequently landed on tails, but Brown and Wilson decided to make the unlawful arrest regardless, making a joke in reference to Michael Jordan and his number 23, which is the police's code for arrest. Webb was tearful as the officers placed her in handcuffs and stuffed her in the back of their squad car. A couple months then passed before Brown and Wilson's illegal coin flip arrest came to light. Webb would later reveal that she didn't know anything about the situation until a local media outlet reached out to her with the body cam footage 3 weeks before her scheduled court date. In July of 2018, the woman had her speeding charges dropped, and Roswell's police chief released a letter reprimanding the officers' actions and notifying the public of their termination. The chief said that Brown and Wilson had violated 2 of the department's human resources policies by failing to perform at an acceptable level, stating that using a coin flip to determine one's freedom was not police procedure. Number 19. Dennis Folia. A fight broke out at Spectrum Lounge on Baltimore Avenue in Beltsville, Maryland, in the early hours of May the 6th of 2022. At around 2:30 a.m., a heated dispute between 2 female patrons over a missing passport prompted the intervention of a bar security guard, later identified as Mohammed Cisse. After the latter tried to stop one of the women as she was causing damage to the lounge, her boyfriend got involved. Dennis Folia, an off-duty D.C. police officer, placed Cisse in a chokehold and threatened his life, pointing a firearm at his torso. Cisse indicated he couldn't breathe and subsequently began recording the altercation. In the resulting video, Folia was shown with a police badge hanging around his neck and a gun in hand as he continued berating the security guard. Prince George's County Police responded to the scene, whereupon Folia was arrested on charges of first and second degree assault, as well as use of a firearm in a violent crime. The department issued Glock he had in his possession that night reportedly had 15 bullets in the magazine and 1 in the chamber. The following week, Folia was placed on no contact status, while the DC police chief recommended he be given an indefinite suspension. Number 18. Adam Becker. In April of 2023, an officer with the Abilene Police Department in Texas was arrested for pressuring a teen to eat a THC edible while he was off duty. The suspect was identified as Adam Becker, who'd allegedly given his child's babysitter 2 pieces of chocolate containing the psychoactive substance. The unnamed teenager later told law enforcement that she felt pressured by Becker to eat one of the edibles but saved the second one. Investigators from the Texas Department of Public Safety were able to analyze the chocolate and subsequently confirmed the presence of THC. The officer reportedly turned himself into the Jones County Sheriff's Office and resigned from the force. Number 17. Christina Guess. In July of 2022, a former Florida corrections officer was arrested for running an illicit drug trafficking ring. The deputy chief of the Volusia County Sheriff's Office revealed that the suspect, Deland resident Christina Guess, had previously worked in the Florida prison system for 12 years, but was busted for a similar drug dealing operation and ended up spending roughly 6 months behind bars. Following her release, the trafficking resumed. In March of 2021, a multi-jurisdictional investigation was opened into the drug ring, headed up by Guess and supplied by 26-year-old Rashad Maurice Campbell. The large-scale operation was reportedly responsible for smuggling 24 pounds of uncut methamphetamine into the U.S. from Mexico. The deputy chief indicated that those 24 uncut pounds could amount to as many as 80 to 100 pounds when diluted for distribution on the street level. A search warrant was executed at Guess's residence, where authorities seized 1.4 pounds of meth, 348 grams of cocaine, and 11 hydrocodone pills. One of the former officer's co-conspirators, 34-year-old Andrea Ilian Dunmeyer, was also taken into custody. She'd already been actively under investigation following the death of her child, who ingested a lethal dose of methamphetamine in December of 2021. Number 16. Michael Martinez. Phoenix police interviewed one of their own officers named as Michael Martinez in connection with the solicitation of an escort in October of 2022. The 30-year-old officer was arrested on the morning of the 16th, exactly 1 month after investigators said he met up with a woman he'd found on a website as well as her friend. There were messages found on Martinez's phone in which he and one of the women engaged in detailed discussions of various intimate acts. While being interviewed, the officer admitted to paying the escort $100 on the day in question before having intercourse with her friend. According to court documents, Martinez attempted to downplay the seriousness of his actions, claiming that the encounter didn't actually break any laws regarding commercial intimacy. His colleagues at the Phoenix Police Department didn't share his view of the situation. He was arrested and initially assigned to his house while an administrative investigation got underway. However, within a few days, Martinez had resigned from the department. Number 15. Angel Poncetti and Gregory Eppley Jr. In October of 2016, a man accompanied by his girlfriend broke into his estranged wife's house in Aubrey, Texas, making off with several items including her marriage license, 3 birth certificates, and 4 social security cards. The suspect involved was Dallas Police Sergeant Gregory Eppley Jr., who was in the midst of a contentious divorce-related dispute with his former partner, Anna. Following their separation, the woman alleged that Eppley had started posting ominous, frightening messages to social media and had bought a pocket knife, which he had shipped to her home. On the night of the break-in, Eppley had been aided by one of his colleagues with the Dallas Police Department, a third-year officer by the name of Angel Poncetti. Although the situation brewed without any further developments for several months, both Eppley and Poncetti ultimately turned themselves into the police in April of 2017 after warrants were issued for their arrest. The latter was charged with burglary of a habitation, while Eppley was also hit with a count of stalking. Number 14. Joseph Reed Copeland. On September the 6th of 2022, an officer from the Denham Springs Police Department in Louisiana was arrested in Texas on an outstanding warrant for crimes against the juvenile. 30-year-old Joseph Reed Copeland was booked into jail in Irving before being extradited to Livingston Parish to face charges of felony carnal knowledge of a juvenile and malfeasance in office. An internal investigation.
I don't have to watch all of it. I want to show y'all something. Okay? I'm not here to beat up on law enforcement or any of that. What I want you to do is I want you to pay attention. I just want you to listen. Okay? That's all I want you to do. I want you to pay attention.
The interview you're about to watch is a perfect example of what happens when a politician steps out of line. Larry McDonald was a U.S. politician who served as a Democratic member of the U.S. House of Representatives from 1975 to 1983. He represented Georgia's 7th Congressional District. Despite being a Democrat, McDonald was a conservative and a staunch opponent of communism. On September 1st, 1983, Larry McDonald was aboard Korean Airlines Flight 007. The plane, a civilian Boeing 747, was en route from New York City to Seoul, South Korea, with 269 passengers and crew on board. All passengers and crew, including Larry McDonald himself, perished in the crash. The circumstances surrounding the downing of Korean Airlines Flight 007 are controversial at best. Others call it a false flag attack. But one thing's for sure. This was the last interview he ever gave.
Mr. McDonald, I'm not a conspirator. I think even Buchanan would vouch for that.
Well, you are.
Robert Wolf.
Foreign relations.
Robert Wolf. No, I don't think so. Yeah, I'm a member of the Council on Foreign Relations.
Well, you've certainly. Well,
Let me just tell you what Newsweek says that the John Birch Society considers communism only one arm of a master conspiracy in which socialist American insiders are plotting to establish world government. Now, it also says, and here's Director John McManus, that's your public relations director, saying that former Secretary of State Alexander Haig and CIA Director William Casey are 2 of these master conspirators who are plotting to establish world government. Now, what do you say? That kind of silly, asinine statement is what makes people laugh at the John Birch Society.
Well, Tom, I'm sure being a longstanding member of the Rockefeller apparatus, and as a member of the Council on Foreign Relations of longstanding, you're fully aware that there is an elitist core in this country that has seen value in subsidizing communism, of protecting communism.
It has?
Sure.
You're accusing me of subsidizing communism?
No, I'm saying
Because I happen to belong to a...
there is an elite core. Wait a minute. There is an elite core in this country that has dominated American society.
Well, I'm not one of
Well,
them.
I mean, Trilateral Commission, the Trilateral Commission,
You see the nose on that fool on the left?
Council on Foreign Relations.
Here's where everybody's both.
Well, let's face it, they've dominated the State Department for 40 years, and pretty much openly.
All right, but what are they trying to do?
Well, their objective is to try to bring about a gradual transition in our society, a dissolving of sovereignty, and a moving steadily to the left on the political spectrum.
Well, who are they?
The elitist groups that I mentioned, particularly key individuals and policymakers in the Council
Is the
on Foreign
International
Relations.
Monetary Fund part of it?
In the
Well, I would
Cal-
say the International Monetary Fund has certainly been set up for the purpose of facilitating that transfer
in the California population.
of sovereignty and transfer of wealth on the road.
We elected
So,
Mr.
let me
Conservative.
finish the point, because otherwise we're going to have a lot of unanswered questions. That you are looking at a group that has worked to bring about a dissolution of national sovereignty on the road to world government. And certainly you're familiar with the local professor Carol Quigley, who has been part of your club, in which he admitted all this. And he said in his book, Tragedy and Hope, the only thing I disagree is that we've worked to keep it a secret. And you see Arthur Schlesinger Jr. writing way back in 1947, says, yes, this is the hidden policy of America. But we can't tell the American public because they're too unsophisticated to see the value.
What is the instrumentality of world government? What is the
Well,
instrumentality?
what you say about Arthur? That's the silliest statement I ever heard. He never made anything like
Well,
that.
let me suggest that you read the May-June issue of the Partisan Review of 1947, Tom, and you can read it for yourself. It's called
That's because there was a conspiracy. A conspiracy
Oh, he didn't use
communism.
Oh, he didn't use the word conspiracy. He said the objective was to bring about. Let me finish. I'll tell you. He said that the objective, the secret policy, which we can't tell the American public because they're not sophisticated enough to see the value, is that through a steady result of erosion of New Deals, we bring the American society steadily to the left, and through a sound concept of benign containment, we merge into the vital center of the socialist left. Those are his words, not mine.
I think John Kennedy was a member of that
No, let me ask you this. The World Federalist Movement in the post-war era contained a lot of people who eventually broke with it, and a lot of people thought the UN in the post-war era looked toward world government.
Sure.
Indeed, they did, up until 48, 49. But a lot of them said, look, we were utopian. That's over and done with. We can't move. And a lot of them came in Kennedy's government. Schlesinger was in there when they were fighting in Vietnam, launched the effort in Vietnam. Schlesinger was behind the Bay of Pigs. In other words, look, isn't there some move that occurred in the post-war era that now has been dissipated because nobody believes in the utopian ideal of world government anymore?
Well, I think there are those that realize that moving straight from a prototype of the United Nations into world government perhaps is tactically impossible. But phasing out increasingly national sovereignty into regional government and phasing out sovereignties into international treaties and multiple areas.
The whole movement toward, quote, interdependence.
Yeah.
NATO is part of the conspiracy.
Well, there are certainly elements in NATO. There are people in NATO who are very strongly dedicated to the defense of the West. But at the same time, you find in NATO a steady dissolution. You find a growing weakness as a NATO policy dominated by State Department policies that has not worked.
Well, it's a regional grouping, and I think therefore it may be suspect by the John Brickz Society.
We're talking with Congressman Larry McDonald, who has recently been elevated, I guess, to chairmanship of the John Brickz Society, succeeding Robert Welsh. We'll be back in a minute.
Congress.
And here you have, let's go ahead and get this set up. Get a little music playing. And I could just go on and on and on and on. And this is unnecessary because we have it right here. Let's turn this around and let's get into this. All right, let's go ahead and set everything up. Yeah. I gotta do what I gotta do, regardless what it may entail or what it may call for. Okay, let's set this over here. Oh, gentlemen, I'll get it here in a little bit. I gotta eat first. right, so relax. Oh yeah, this is good. Set everything up here. Oh, yeah. I'll leave it like that because I want to set it up. That's good. Get it? I gotta eat first. This one. Let's get a little close. Break up the monotony. I know that could be a little stir crazy. Now, if you want to check that out, excuse me. If you want to check that out, that is, make sure I go back in here. So I don't really pay attention. I'm not subscribed to them. It looked like it, but I'm not. There's no the notification bell. I'm not. I don't know why it even showed that, but it's called the End Time Production. This interview, it was ended his life, and you saw who it was, a Democratic individual. You know, let me turn this light on. And the other one that we were watching was let me turn this off. Excuse me, guys. Turn this off, even though it's charged up. That's my JB4 charger. Excuse me. The other one, excuse me, is They Will Kill You. That's just the name of it if you want to go and look at it. When cops catch one to their own. Now, this is not to beat up police officers. Like I said, I got a friend, ex-Marine, who's going to work for the government. He's a police officer. He went and became a Leo. And another friend who works at a couple of guys who work at the dam. One of them is a brother who used to be on the reservation where I live, you know, hung out. He works security. He's also a Leo now, police officers. So there's a bunch of them. One of my brothers who I trained was married to a Navajo woman. They stand side by side with me on this, and a lot of other individuals. There are over 8,000 law enforcement officers, and a lot of them working federal. Now, we know that we're going to set the IRS aside because they shouldn't be weaponized at all, but until you pay attention to solid weapons, solid wars, and they're going to be a cleanup party. But and know the training they've been going through for the last year and a half, 2 years, you would know the indifference. The problem is there's no indifference. The problem is that's just a handful. There's a lot of corrupt individuals, and they're no different from you or anybody else. Why am I showing that? Because today I want y'all to free yourselves from being stuck in these allegories. There's perversions everywhere you walk. So I showed you a politician, a Democrat, who was telling you about the left. And yes, Korean Airlines, 160 people all died just to get rid of him. It's bigger than that. They paint a picture and you run with it. Okay. Somebody asked me some time ago, do you believe there's people old? I said, I know there are people that have been alive for 1,000 years. There are people. Let me tell you something. When I pay attention to my great grandma, my grandma, the stories they were telling me and my great uncle, right? The one besides the other one who's not, you know, who's still family regardless, Uncle Tandy and Uncle C. That wars got rid of people, and the rewriting history to make you believe that people only live a certain period of time was crucial in order to have you in a certain place. To create petroleum-based drugs, knowing what it would do to the endocrine and the DNA and who you are, your mental, your physical, and your spiritual, the vision from the source that was within you. So what it would do to the physical was the most major thing. Listen, you don't come upon that without having knowledge and doing this a number of times. Somebody says, do you think it's the white people or the black people in charge? I said, I believe they're melanated. And these idiots are just a front face. And then somebody asked me, well, how long do you think people, how old do you think the oldest person is still alive? Bruh, millennia. And you could live that long as well. And this individual or these individuals or whomever or whatever. Do this. And this is not to be narcissistic. I'm saying this based on my studies and what I've learned. But we keep looking at the wrong things. We keep looking outside ourselves. That was just to let you know, yeah, okay, this stuff's happening. Hey, look, nobody's perfect. The problem is, all of you, everybody, I did it one time before I started waking up. Not just woke, that's just pay that no mind, don't give it no energy. Because ain't nobody woke that's running around thinking they're a woman when they're a man, or a man thinking they're, or vice versa. And these companies who are part of the purgatory, they've been promised that they can live a little longer than you and I. Me, I know I have a story to tell. Other than that, they killed him, and yet here it is. They kill him for no reason. To shut up other politicians, punks. But if they all would have said something, they'd had to kill all of them. Like, make that make sense. This is what I'm talking about. There's chumps in every field. Okay? And here it is. You see it first-handedly. Everything. You even see a fake Biden. 2 or 3 of them. And yet, now we have an artificial intelligence. That means not real and not really intelligent. Placating, creating fake. This is what the program is doing. Creating fake faces, history, and posts to go at the autochthonous people as if that's going to work. This is what these goofy Ashkenazis can come up with, and the niggas that's over them who've got to live a little longer. However long that is, it doesn't matter. See, we don't need to focus. I am attempting to reach out and tell y'all how to elevate yourselves and stop being stuck. It's beyond life and death. It's what I'm attempting to do to you. What did they give you? Cartels, murders, dismembering, chainsaws, this, that. We've all grown up with that here. But if they give it to you in such a way, your focus is taken away. Why? Because of music, because of dumb niggas who've been locked up, whether Mexican, Chinese, whatever the hell they want to call themselves. See, I don't believe in ethnicities, races, crayon colors, none of that. I believe in stupid, the unknowing, and the known, and those who are becoming a little wiser. You want to talk about a caste system? Dumbasses and people who are getting away from being dumbasses. The world over. I hate the word world. The earth, our terrain. Does it matter what came out the water first? Who's the oldest nation? See, in truth of history, it does. It would mean something to those who don't know no better, who have been grafted into the lie. But until then, everybody needs to rise above the cation. Unification. That's why they gave you the fake ass UN with the perversions in there. And all these little agencies that they grab people in, they let them see a little bit what you don't see. And then you sit there and you go at each other, chastising and chasing and fighting like idiots. And then you got niggas out here. I just met a young lady who want to go out there and drug women and have sex with them. Those people need to be put down. But it's until we establish the truth. And that's why we have to do what we're doing. Law, this fake law system don't mean nothing. You are the system of law, but you must first stand up and be the righteous consent and be in order that you are supposed to. You must give self consent. You must make consent with yourself. It is not for these parties. They say establish democracy. This is not a democracy. This is a republic. For the people, by the people, of the people. That means the original people. Everybody else is supposed to partake in it, but they have perverted that and flipped everything upside down on his head and spun everything the hell around. Until you come into that truth, until you walk in that reality, you can only sit aside. Because let me tell you something. Somebody says, do you think we're supposed to have tanks and rocket launchers? You're goddamn right. Because you got idiots who'll sit there and they'll parlay with silver-tongued words to say, well, that's for the U.S. government military. No, the military was a fraction for sacrifice. Every war fought has been a lie. So you come and tell me the truth of that. I don't care who you are. We got special operations, ODA, and so who still believe the earth is round, ain't never flew a plane, and they think they're satellites. When you go and talk to Army guys who launch them and Air Force guys launch them all the time and tell you, I don't think so. We put them things up in there with big balloons. So nobody's special because you're not walking in your true gift, who you truly are. What you're doing is walking in all this corporate conglomerate, and the corporation is the downfall of societies. The establishment of some new world order bullcrap that's out of order. But see, because people become greedy and caught up in the lies and the efficacies of the world. Here, let me read this. My brother was the only one to get it right because I thought everybody was a movie watcher. That's why I asked you what was NAS. So our brother Lloyd, he's always on it, man. See, it's that Copenhagen. That's why I love my brother. And let's pay attention now. Don't get all out of whack when I tell you this. First of all, NAS. Yesterday, remember I asked, for those who are paying attention, nobody else is going to do this. And I'm not saying to be a big dog, but I'm telling you because I know you don't know. It's not meant for you. You're not even willing to sacrifice yourself because you're too goddamn cowardly. I can never be, every time I come back, I remember quickly, so it doesn't matter. So, nerve attenuation syndrome is a fictional disease that is not present in the short story. In the short story, pay attention to the words. So when I say a fictional disease, does it mean it's not real? Not at all. Based on the narrative for what we're talking about, and that's in Johnny Mnemonic. It's a film. But if you pay attention, are we suffering from cyberpunk NAS, nerve attenuation system? Yes. Is never clearly explained. It's never clearly explained, only the fact that the net digital technology is making people sick. Are you even starting to comprehend? Are you starting to pay attention? Somebody asked James, do you believe the Titanic was sunk? Hell no. You know how many ships look like the Titanic were built? The Queen, you know how many ships were built the same? And some of them, they were getting ready to decommission. And they dressed up and sent out there to get rid of those 3 individuals and their families and a whole bunch of Negroes in the undercast coming to, listen, man, y'all gotta really dig deep. No iceberg sunk that. That thing was blown up. Damn it, they show you the pictures blowing outward. Come on. They show you the pictures of the Titanic down there. You see the metal peeled outward. What is wrong with y'all, man? And it's not the Titanic. It's like the Hindenburg. Are you aware that we had thousands upon thousands of balloons that have been flying for probably thousands of years? But when the reset happened, they were mapping things. And then some of the people who were actually aficionados in this narrative of knowledge were on that flight. And some Ashkenazi suicide mother sucker went up there and says, well, it's time to go. Either I make it off of here or I don't. And blew that son of a bitch flying on helium. Look, man, I just look. I was on my brother's live last night. The internet don't work like with a phone. I was using the phone. I was laying in bed, vampires, but I said I'd be up because I love my brother, West Side. And it kept kicking me out. And then it froze. I turned my head to the right. I don't even know if the mic was on or the camera. I just went to sleep. It was stuck. I was like, man, I'm not messing with this thing. It can go. It was dead when I woke up. When I woke up this morning, I put on charge. It came up, the thing. When I got to 2 seconds, I turned it on just in case somebody called. And it was there. And I was like, what is this nonsense? And it ended. I didn't know nothing. I just went to sleep. I was like, I'm not going to sit here. So, like, whenever something's going against the grain or it don't work where it should be working, I don't sit there and get flustered and fight with it, man. If they got me snoring, they know it. Maybe it came back on. I don't know. They can let me know. Anywho, what I'm saying is everything right now that's happening, like I'm up here and I always read my EMF. Not because I'm worried. I read my EMF to see what they're doing with the repeaters and how much they're irradiating people. That's what the repeaters are doing. Now, in certain countries, they went and blown them things and tore them down. But here in big old badass America, you got a bunch of idiots still installing them. You got people running around talking about us against you against us, but everybody's getting the same. And you could take all the iodine and eat all the iodine and kelp or seaweed. It's not going to stop anything. Silent weapon for silent wars. They're slowly been conditioning you, getting you ready. But even though people are woke, You can't shoot them down. Well, I mean, those of you who may have built some rockets that can go up 10 to 20,000, 30,000 feet, it's not complicated. All right. And it's not complicated to put a guidance system. Very simple. The thing is, y'all are too pussy. You're too stuck on this, that, we Indian, we this, that, and that. While they're doing things that go against everything to do with that's in order. They think they're in control. And you think you're in control. But you show that you are not. They got Bill Gates growing genetically modified, perverted avocados, oranges, and all kind of stuff. And he don't own no land. Nobody owns the land. They've convinced you because of your fear, because of how they programmed you, but you won't wake up and arise to the occasion. And then we got all these idiots running around, I'm special operations, this, that, and the soda. And that's the ones they go to utilize, and regular Joe Smo on the street to create heinous acts and crimes. And then they'll turn around and get rid of you at the same damn time. Not everybody gets to make it over the wall. Not everybody gets to make it in hiding until the next roundup and clean up. And then new age of generation of, look, we're making a new world. This stuff didn't exist before. See, this is what I'm talking about. So these chemicals that I read about, and I can read about it again, that will make you go to sleep. They might slowly, that's why everybody I've been hearing lately going, I'm tired. What is wrong with you people? Me, I'm just tired because I have never slept well. I'm always dreaming. I'm always seeing things. You dig what I'm saying? But you people, I don't know, man. You don't want to leave your concentration camps. You don't want to leave your cities, your sorry-ass relationships, but you still want to hold on as if you've got it planned out and you don't know what you do. Well, anyway, let me get off of here. We have 41 minutes. I'm going to say hi to everybody. I'm not going to answer no questions or nothing. Look, I'm just sharing for educational purpose. Y'all know that. I want to give you a hands up on the situation. That's all. I'm pointing some things out. You can Google the places where they tore down all these notifications. I'm going to turn it all off. I don't care no more. Anyway, I don't. I think it's, what countries is that where they've been blowing up and tearing down all them little repeaters and everything because they realize that 5G is fake. They realize they ain't got nothing to do with the internet, and their phones and everything was working fine after they tore these things down. It's irradiating you, and I'm telling you. All right, the fake Israel's behind it, but nobody wants to hear that. Nobody wants to hear it. All right, no fat chick's gonna fact check me. I got Ashkenazi uncles, you call them Jews if you want, who made sure I was aware, and then I've met people who also sit there and go, because there's fear in them. And I keep telling them, go put away the religion and stop the fear. I mean, I don't have no hate for you. I ain't trying to hurt you. And listen, I know people got up in this Chinese and this, that, and other. Stop. There's good guys, man. There's good guys. Stop allowing people in their ignorance. Now, we know there's bad people willing to do bad things. You got that right here on your own soil. So stop it. Some of you, I'm going to have to pull up by your shirt collar because I love you, but I know you're getting carried the fuck away with all this Chinese. I knew people that was doing hip-hop with us who we was teaching back in the goddamn 80s before some of y'all were born. So stop the bullshit. And they good at what they do. All right? When I was serving in the military, when I was on Korean, we took it there in Germany. We didn't just take it there for no people not to learn it. We were showing them how to do it. Because we want to see people come together as one world family, not because identity theft and everything else. They didn't create that. A lot of them don't even know the truth. And the ones that do will speak because you can see them doing that. How about elevating yourselves and getting out of that calamity? Now, don't walk around talking like Charleston White. I hate the Chinese. Everything he's doing is an act. But what he's doing is to educate y'all to how lazy y'all are. Y'all are running around with a camera. That's why I put that one post about the cameraman who committed suicide looking at the vulture and the little girl. Instead of taking her to the damn to get some food, this is what we're dealing with when we want to sit here and look at these people who want to, like the people with the music industry and the frauds who have hijacked by way of the Zionist frauds, okay? Nazis, the true Marxists. Because you got to remember, he was an Ashkenazi. Though his cousin went and ran with it and created, Karl Marx. And his wife was the one to tell him to go ahead and do it. He was influenced. The Ashkenazi don't care what you want to think and what you want to believe. Just like all the people in Sweden that get all that good street water in it because they ain't finding chemicals all over there, and they can go out there and they get and be vegans, all right? Because they're Satanists, because they looking like hippies and being all sweet and living and building waters on a beautiful land, which they came and destroyed here because they're asking us. Care what you think. They handpicked a few people that they could sit there and have them do these things, death or life, what you want to do. And then later on, when they're collecting people out their homes and their bodies and they're demolishing and destroying, see, y'all don't get it. Y'all gonna learn. I gotta eat. I made me a delicious salad with 3-minute boiled eggs and cayenne and Japanese and arugula and salmon. And yeah, I'm about to get in there, man. And I got to go run to the store with my little brother here. You know, he a horn toad right now, so I got to do things to keep him kind of equipped because I'm not going to cut his nads, man. I mean, he drive me to a point where I want to, but I need him to stay in order and natural. And he's doing this. He's attempting to talk to me. You got to hear some of the things he's attempting to say. He's mimicking me. Just like a friggin' parakeet. I'm serious. I was in the bathroom squeezing one out, and I went, oh, yeah. And he went, right at the door. I was like, you got to be kidding me. I had to get up, then he wiped my butt, put my crick, because, you know, I'm in the bathroom, open the door. What? And he's right there laying on the side. Wait a minute. Like, what in the world? Ah, man, my hair stood up. I was feeling all wonderful. I was like, yeah, about time I knew you could talk, nigga. Put my stuff back where it needed to be, but then went back and finished what I had to do. Later on, Rob L, she on Facebook. She got a big following over there. I'll be doing a live talk with these fake Africans. I think they're just AI artificially generated, and some might be real. But I'm gonna lay down the law. I'm gonna see if they even pay attention. Let's see how intelligent this thing is because it's watching now. Let's see how much it's actually learned. It can never outwit or outsmart that which it was never meant to. It doesn't matter what I'm doing, what I'm saying, or whatever. Trust in me. Don't trust me. All right? So, let me get off of here. Oh, well, let me shout everybody out. My apologies. Abdul Bey, what's going on? Hey, Ronald, what's going on, beloveds? Snoo, Alfred Arden, Mikey Hill, Charles Johnson. Yes, yeah, please educate the children. Yeah, first let's educate ourselves. But yeah. Etta, what's going on, mama? Don't be deleting now. You put it up there, leave it. Original Lone Wolf, what's going on, family? I haven't seen you in a while. I guess they allowed the notifications to go out. Thank you, brother. Fantastification, yes. Check that out, y'all. Yeah. He was telling he was spewing some stuff. March 12, 1947, Truman appeared before a joint session of Congress. In his 18-minute speech, he stated, I believe it must be the policy of the United States to support free peoples who are resisting attempted subjugation by armed minorities or by outside pressures. Yes, and that's what Kennedy discussed as well. Yes, the John Birch Society, all that, baby. Go pay attention. She's sharing it. Lord, yeah, man. Appreciate it, fam. I had to go with the nice. You was the one that hit it on the head, Johnny Manic. I just wanted to see if anybody was going to pay attention. How it went from fiction to truth when it already existed because it was in the works. That's all I wanted to state. And people are dealing with that right now and they don't even know it. Humble French, salute. How are you, beloved? And some people look at me and be like, this nigga crazy, but anybody doing what I'm doing? No. That's why they got to hide it. Anyway, yeah, but don't give them energy. So what, they bogus. Fuck them. Just use them. I mean, I'm not here to hijack nobody's work. I don't care about fiat. They could be whatever. My thing is just you give a little part and give a take on it. Because, see, I have knowledge. I've been watching that. I remember my papa saying he ain't going to live long. I remember that, you know, and then a couple months later, his ass was dead. I remember, listen, see, we need to grow up. We need to grow up. We have been raised to the point where a lot of us aren't even paying attention that we can fix the foundation and we can elevate. All right? Elevator. Rise above the occasion. All right? Now you see everybody, the same people who have been following me sitting there. Now they figure a few years later, like I'm supposed to forget what I've been saying for a long time. Talking about there's people old enough, they ain't white and this, that. First of all, you're still using the terms white and black, a lot of you on stupidity. And that's what it is, stupidity, still be using those terms. So if you still believe that in order to reach out to some people, you got to use it, no, you're just stupid. You don't know how to acclimate and change the narrative. See, they change it slowly, but you right here knowing that, instead of acquiescing in the truth and coming into the light of it, no, you choose to remain in ignorance. So you continue to give them power. So stop using black and fucking white. Stop using ethnicity and races and all that dumb shit. Didn't we cover that? Didn't I do like 4 or 5 videos on the people that created that shit in the 1800s? So what is the problem? God damn you people. Well, yeah, we are original. Don't get it twisted. That's been written over and over in every damn new reset who we are. So anyway, like, subscribe if you haven't. Like I said, one idiot unsubscribed. Maybe he was unsubscribed. But if you unsubscribe, that's your, I don't give a damn. But thank you for the new subscribers. Hang in there. Just pay attention and learn some truth. I'm not saying it's my truth. Learn, that means if I talk about something, go and research it as best you can until you find something that makes that shows responsibility of self, that you may believe in it, but you still don't have to. What's the word believe really mean? Come on, y'all. Talk with y'all later. We'll get the read on. I got to run out the Safeway after I eat this and get this thing because he's licking himself. I don't want him to bite himself off or something, whatever it is. First time having a cat like on my own.